As a product of Houston's Fifth Ward, Jay Prince knew that surviving the daily tests and threats on his life growing up was a success in and of itself. In 1979, the peak of Jay Prince's adolescence, the Texas Monthly labeled Fifth Ward the toughest, proudest, baddest ghetto in Texas. The fact that Texas is already tough and a no-nonsense place as a whole makes that declaration that much stronger. However, in the midst of all of that ghetto pressure, there rose a street diamond and a giant in his own right. The mythical figure will go on to build one of the biggest hip-hop empires of all time, one that has honed the talents of Southern heavyweights such as the Ghetto Boys, Pimp C, Bun B, Zero, Trader Truth, and dozens more. So today, I shall break down part 1 of how the Southern Godfather Jay Prince built his kingdom and had a reign that far superseded other moguls that get mentioned more than him. So let's get to it. Before being the mogul he is today, Jay Prince's humble hustle began in the 70s as a kid. Growing up where poverty was a serious burden on his family, that had a major part on his mind developing. He wanted to break that poverty curse that existed at all costs.
Back when I was like 8 years old, I think it all come from the curse of poverty, witnessing poverty all of my life. And at the age of 8 years old, I used to tell my auntie, my grandmother, I used to tell all my relatives I'm gonna be rich because I would see them crying over different bills and the struggle. And it's almost as if I vowed at the age of 8, 9 years old that I was gonna be the one to do something about it.
So even as a kid, he was somewhat abnormal when it came to trying to make money. At 8 years old, most of his friends was thinking about playing, but he was thinking about how to get $1, whether it was through cutting yards or any other responsible hustle that presented itself. In his young adulthood, he would move on to selling cars on Shepherd Street in Houston, Texas. Although it was more of a modest living compared to where he is now, it still had some clout attached to it, and it was a far cry from the impoverished lifestyle he was used to. The cars were used, but not the run-of-the-mill hoopties your uncle and them got. He was selling used exotic vehicles, and his clients were street hustlers and all the athletes in Houston. This gave him an edge over his competition. This era taught him a lot of things about how to out-hustle and outsmart others in a business sense. This was the real foundation that would lead to him running his own record label, Rap-A-Lot Records. According to Jay Prince, the label and the name for that matter came into existence in 1986 because his brother was a rapper by the name of Sir Rap-A-Lot.
It was all about my brother, Sir Rap-A-Lot. I was hustling, and my brother used to rap in my ear all day, every day. And being in the heart of the street, caught up in the movement, I didn't want my brother. I knew he wasn't qualified to really be out there. So, I said, man, I'm gonna do this for you with this studio thing. You go in there and rap, and I'll support you with that.
The company started for him because he didn't want his brother on the streets hustling in the jungle they grew up in. He felt like it'd be a good business move to give him a better opportunity in life. Jay invited not only his brother, but a couple other guys that were not focused on going to school to take advantage of the situation. Yet, his condition was that the other guys would have to go to school and finish it, and if they did, he would support their rap dreams. Talk about no child left behind, huh, man? Through a process of trial and error, he would eventually be able to figure out the whole scheme of making records pretty quickly. According to him, when you're from the hood or in a situation where the sharks are swimming around 24 hours a day, then it's naturally a part of your character to figure out how to survive. He would then use this mentality to adapt to corporate America with ease. Following the blueprint laid by Russell Simmons and Def Jam, he would study them closely yet from afar because he really didn't have any insight from a business perspective to how they were handling their affairs. The fact that he was in the South, he was initially isolated from getting wisdom from those guys directly. There would even be industry folk that would give him the wrong information to intentionally derail him. That wouldn't slow him down, however. He let the setbacks motivate him to figure out the way to circumvent the monopoly that other regions were having on the South, a mission that would soon be accomplished. The label's flagship group was the legendary and infamous Ghetto Boys. Most of us know the name, especially the name of the flagship rapper, Scarface. What many don't know is that at first the group was nothing like we were used to. For starters, the roster was different. Jay Prince was the visionary for the group and the name. He felt that the name would help them resonate with the United Ghettos of America. One of the members of the original roster was Jay Prince's own brother, Sir Rap-A-Lot. The group would emulate the East Coast sounds of LL Cool J and the like. Prince was busy at the time hustling, other business ventures, and the group had free reign. But The universal failure of their first album, Making Trouble in 1988, caused Prince to refocus on music and make an executive decision: clean house. Later that year, the roster would eventually consist of Scarface, Willie D, Bushwick Bill, and DJ Reddy Red. All strong personalities that didn't know one another but had strong passion for rapping and music and were willing to follow Prince's vision.
3 different personalities. You know, I got 3 different energies, 3 guys that don't know one another. And most of all, they were in sync with me, with my concepts. And that was real important to me at the time because...
See, what most people don't know is that most of the lyrical subject matter that made the Ghetto Boys famous came straight from the brain of J. Prince. He wasn't a rapper, but he was the idea man and the visionary for the creative direction of the group. Jay was highly influenced by the dark and morbid surroundings of 5th Ward, Houston, Texas, so his job was to hold a mirror up to things that he lived through. This would give the Ghetto Boys an edge that no other group had at the time. Super raw, but relatable. Due to his determination and dedication, he was able to make a major move and link up with Rick Rubin to get the first record deal for the Ghetto Boys. At that particular time, Rick Rubin was on Geffen Records, so Prince decided to do his homework on David Geffen and the powerful machine that they had. After doing that deal, David Geffen heard the album and decided to really exercise his racism according to Prince. He labeled it as racism because at the time, Geffen had heavy metal artists that were having the same lyrical content as the Ghetto Boys, if not worse. But long story short, Rick Rubin was able to get dropped from the label because Geffen didn't want to distribute the record. So he went on to do a lucrative deal with Warner Brothers. The album that they did with Rick Rubin was the same album as the Southern classic Grip It on Another Level, just reissued as an album called The Ghetto Boys with 4 more tracks. The former had sold 1 million copies independently. The latter sold 500,000 under the Warner Brothers situation. What a hustle move, man. For hip-hop and indie labels, this was kind of an innovative move. The indie album being reissued on a major label practice wouldn't really become a mainstay until the 2000s. This was some 20 years prior to that. After the situation was done and dusted, J. Prince had to convince Rick Rubin to give him and their artists their freedom, and they moved on to Priority Records. Then, one fateful day, on July 1st, 1991, J. Prince and the Ghetto Boys would change the game forever and firmly put the South on the map with the classic single, Mind Playing Tricks on Me. And from there, the rest was history. This concludes part 1 of the J. Prince and Rap-A-Lot story. I appreciate y'all for the love and support. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment what J. Prince, Rap-A-Lot, and the Ghetto Boys mean to you. We want to know. In part 2, I will break down J. Prince's infamous bout with the Alphabet Boys, the rise of Rap-A-Lot Records, and how he developed the reputation as hip-hop's boogeyman. If you guys are real Southern rap fans or even just admirers of determination and hustle, you certainly don't want to miss this one. I'll be back soon with another dope audio video presentation for y'all. But until then, love hip-hop, love life, and love yourself. Peace.